Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Blue. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Oh, it's
Ooh,
cool to be here. Actually, it's really kind of nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
good to
yeah, we're
see you
glad you're
guys.
here.
And good to see you again, Lisa.
Yes, good to see you too. I'm glad that we did take last week off. I know that you had encouraged me to do so because you knew
Uh-huh.
that I was traveling and coming home, and
Yep.
so yeah.
Yep.
And
How was
I'm glad that I talked to I know Blue is and Tony at Kettle Kitchen are hosting a collaboration. I'm sure she'll talk about that. Um
it? Hmm.
but I'm glad that when they sent out the schedule, I had the wherewithal to say, can you please move me to the end of the month because coming back, there's just way too much to do. And then I got sick, so I was really glad.
Right?
That's all good. I did the same thing, which I think's left me on the same day as last year because last year, right, was the first one, and um, we were moving right in the middle of it, so had to be as far back as possible.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, lots of good folks in the chat, Tammy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, real quick, I want to say hi to everybody. We've got Milk and Honey Heritage Farms, Tiny Tim Posey, Gear Gryden, 19, Suburban Hillbilly, Psychology Noir with Dr. Lund. Good to see you all. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming in.
Mm.
Hi, everybody. So we've got Blue from Blue Self Reliance with us today as our special guest star.
Thank you, ladies.
And Blue is joining us from quite a ways away. Do you want to share with everybody who might not follow your channel where you live and just a little bit about your channel, Blue?
Okay. We live in York, in the north of the UK, the north of England. So it's interesting up here. It's like a completely different world from where I'm used to. Further down south in the UK, it's completely different up here. But my channel is about urban homesteading and self-sufficiency, but on a what I call a rainwater budget. So, we all know about having, living a champagne life on a beer budget. This is about not
Mhm.
even having the beer budget. This is about just having a
I love
rainwater budget.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Um,
Thanks, Psychology Noir. Appreciate it.
mm,
I
yep.
love the Blue also. Hope you're doing well, Suburban Hillbilly.
So, how you got me curious? How's York different than where you were before?
um, well, there's the language.
Really?
Yeah. So, um, not only accent, because the accent is not the Yorkshire accent that you hear on TV. It's completely different.
Hmm.
It's like you've walked into um I want to say somewhere like Switzerland. Um
Okay.
and you thought you were landing in Spain. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
you're
Okay.
expecting a certain thing because you've heard that all your life on TV and on
Yeah.
shows and things, but that's actually a West Yorkshire accent.
Huh.
York has its own accent,
Huh.
and people speak very quickly. And I'm still translating Tanny, who's my partner, after 5 years. Um, there are times where I have to say, "Can you speak up?" Because they mumble a bit. It
Oh,
sounds
is
like
he from
mumbling
York?
as well.
He's from
Yeah.
York.
Yes. He's
Oh,
lived here all
okay.
his life.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So he has a very deep York accent, which does take some does take some getting used
Huh.
to. Yeah.
Interesting. Hey, where to begin, Homestead? Good to see you.
Thanks, Janice. Yes, I am. Good to see you too.
That's interesting. What about like is one so can you share with us like you moved to York and what are your plans like there, especially in relation to like what you got going on with your channel, and definitely mention the collaboration that you've had going on.
Which one?
Yeah.
I know you've
We've
got
had
Well
a
said.
couple.
you're doing small space gardening.
Yes, we
That
are.
collaboration, because
Yeah.
I've got a lot of plants on my front porch and I'm thinking I could have done that with her. I could have done that with her because but I wasn't sure what I was going to do with my plants. But I've
Yeah.
decided some of them I have on the porch, I'm just going to leave on the porch as I'm still filling up garden beds here.
Yeah.
I've decided I think I want some on the porch. And I guess in my mind, I'm thinking for me, that's gonna like, okay, let's say one garden bed gets demolished by bugs or something. I'm still
Mhm.
nervous about what is yet to come in my
Yeah.
garden. 'Cause I'm not
I
used
hear
to
that.
the water and the
Yeah.
bugs and the weeds. And then I'm thinking, well, if they're here, I'll have survivors still. Like that's my methodology, anyways. Let's see what survives where. But
Absolutely.
I know you've got that going on, and then you've been doing a weight loss thing. Um, Goodness, I
Not
was watching like
technically a weight loss
day 30,
thing,
um,
but
day 30,
yeah.
eating healthy or something to do
Yeah.
with your health.
Healthier lifestyle, I think,
Wellness
right?
for
Yeah,
healthiness. Yeah, there's some big
yeah.
stuff happening with that actually.
Mm-hmm.
It was starting off as a 30-week series.
Uh-huh.
It was about because I'm a qualified dietitian, nutritionist, herbalist, and naturopath.
Yeah.
And I
I didn't know
kind of
any of that until I was listening to one of your shows. And, I like to dabble with the herbs. And so I
yeah,
heard the naturopath and the herbalist, and that's pretty awesome,
And
Blue.
her
yeah, the
ears perked
naturopath's
up.
a new thing. That was
Oh,
my winter thing that I do a qualification every winter,
yeah. Uh-huh.
and add to my bits of paper that are floating around the place
Mm-hmm.
in a sort of like a folder because because that's part of how I get through winter is learning stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it was more about taking control of my health
Mm-hmm.
because I have quite a few different health issues,
Mm-hmm.
which have gotten worse after moving up here to York. Now, there's lots of different reasons for that, but there's not a lot that the doctors can do because there's a lot of medications that I can't take.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more about trying to take back that control of my health
Mm-hmm.
and using my very expensive education
Mm-hmm.
to actually do something with it, because at the moment all I do is occasionally I'll teach a workshop here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I get asked to do talks every now and again, but I don't really technically very much do anything with it. But I got my dietitians and nutritionist qualifications about 20 years ago because I was running a bistro that
Mm-hmm.
was opposite an allergy center in Canberra.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to make sure that I could provide food that people and patients there could eat, because they were coming in to eat and they couldn't eat anything. So I wanted to learn more about it.
Chuck.
Um,
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
so that I could provide meals for them. And that's kind of where it all started, was there.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Very
But
cool.
yeah.
I just want to say I'm sorry, Chuck. I deleted your comment by mistake. I think I fixed it. I went to go post your link and I screwed up. I'm sorry. I'm just going to not moderate anymore because I'm a problem.
Oh, you're fine, Lisa. So Blue, when it comes to like the herbal, so your certification with your herbal education and your
Mm-hmm.
naturopath, my goodness.
Yeah.
Um, do you feel like there's an area of those? Because I always feel like with herbal medicine, everybody tends to have like their own little niche because it's going to be those things that you end up running across the most. Maybe that your family has, so you're more closest
Yeah.
to that indication. And maybe it comes from being closest with certain herbs too. Do you feel like there's a niche that you have? I'm just curious, like
I
what you.
think if anything, I'm moving towards women's health
Mm-hmm.
in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Such a
and,
need
you
there.
know, there's always the everyday stuff, which
Mm-hmm.
everybody knows. And, as we were talking before, and I said to
Yeah.
Lisa about the tea,
Yeah. Thyme and sage. Yep.
yeah, which everyone has in the garden pretty much. So,
Mm.
you can go out and have that, and that's not a problem. But I
I'd
think
say
for
throw
me,
mullein in there too, Lisa. I would add the mullein.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think because of my own recent health journey over the last few years,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like women's health is something that I really want to look more into.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, Joe, Garden State Gardener. Good to see
and
you.
kind of look more into doing things with that, because what we are now given as women's health tends to be more damaging than
Mm-hmm.
what we can do for ourselves. And that's kind of almost where the Wellness for Healthiness series came from.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's
Was
called. Wellness for healthiness, everyone.
yeah, which now has its own channel.
Really?
Yeah, I set it up this morning. Actually, it doesn't
Oh,
have
how
anything on it.
awesome.
Partly because of the response that I got to the live that I did
Mm-hmm.
yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and how I felt about it. I didn't feel like it fitted my channel as it is, the Bloo Self-Reliance channel. I felt like it really deserved to have its own channel. And even though it was only supposed to be a 30-week series,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make it so that it could continue in that vein,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that there's a lot of people, there are people that follow me that they only want the stuff to do with that.
Yeah.
But I still have a Tanny and I still have BAM, and I still make things for them
Mm-hmm.
that aren't to do with that. And I didn't want to put too much confusion in there as well. So yeah, that kind of started.
Can you give an example of what you were talking about what's offered for testing? You said is sometimes different than what we can do for ourselves, and I just sometimes that helps people if they can hear some of the things that you're talking about. Hey, our new land.
Yeah, I find that, well, my own health journey with women's health started like 5 years ago, when I suddenly started gaining weight for no reason. There was absolutely no reason for it. I hadn't changed anything. I was begging doctors for help, but the way that the doctors are set up over here, they're actually franchised and they're all part of the same thing. So you don't see the same doctor twice. So there's no continuity of care, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, you have to continually tell the same stuff to the different doctor every single time,
Mm-hmm.
and they all look at you like you've grown two heads. There's a lot of gaslighting involved with women's health.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came to a crisis last year, where I ended up in hospital several times, having blood transfusions and all sorts of stuff going on, having to have certain procedures done and all that kind of thing,
Goodness.
over several months.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all telling me the same thing. Oh, you need to lose weight. You need to lose weight. And I was like, hang on a second. I told you this was a problem. Since I've moved here in 5 years, I've put on what the equivalent of 12 stone. That's a whole nother person.
How much is 12
Right.
stone in,
12 stone. Hang on.
Well, Blue, I'll look it up. You keep
Pounds,
talking.
isn't it? It's
Yeah.
168 pounds around.
My
Okay.
goodness. Yeah.
So that was obviously not something that was because of what I was doing. That was to do with my hormone levels. And I kept nagging and nagging and nagging and saying to them, look, I need to get these checked, and there's something going on, and it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't listening.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we've checked them, they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can I have a look at them? Oh, they're on my computer. Well, print them off then so I can have a look. I'm not an idiot, you know. I have these qualifications. I want to be able to see them for myself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
not one of them let me see my results, which says
Wow.
to me there was something shonky and they weren't showing it to start with.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out that the medication they were giving me during this crisis, instead of giving me progesterone, they were giving me estrogen, which was making the situation worse.
Yep. Hey, Della.
And trying to push having an IUD, which is like a coil thing that has stuff,
Which has hormones.
which has hormones.
Hi, Della.
Not the ones I needed.
For coming.
But I saw 7 doctors in the gynecological unit at the hospital, and every single one of them were pushing it, even though it was on my notes not to push it, because I had researched it, decided no thank you, because it would have caused more issues with what was happening to me than anything else. And
right,
yeah, no thanks.
You know, one of the things that I've often in my career when I was working, one of the things that I often talk to people about, because so let me back up. So you have socialized medicine,
Yeah,
like in Canada, right? So then we have a different situation here with our sorry, my brain is not working this week. Then our medical system here, and you know, one of the stories that I often had to tell a lot was, you know, if you keep going to the emergency room for care, it's similar. It mirrors what you're talking about. You keep repeating the same thing. You don't get the right care and blah, 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 blah. But you have that when you go to offices, right? Because you're seeing different doctors and so on.
Yeah.
So one of the stories that I've often shared, and this is, I'm not bashing men, so don't get mad.
No.
But I had a doctor who happened to be a male, was a regular practitioner, like a family practitioner, and talking about women's needs. And I went to him a couple times and explained to him that there were some issues. And he told me I was fine, told me I needed to lose weight, told me I needed to do this. It's always weight, weight when you're overweight. It's ridiculous. And so I got really mad at him, obviously, and I just said, I'm not going to this guy anymore. And I said, look, I need to go to a gynecologist. And I chose a female who had been in the field for a while. And the woman laid one hand on me during an exam, and I was scheduled for surgery.
Yeah.
Huh.
Because I had massive tumors. Okay.
Yeah.
Cysts.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So I'll leave it at that. But I mean, the point is that I would, like you, right? We go unheard oftentimes because the person is not a specialist, or the person is just has a horrible bedside manner. Add into the fact that you're seeing different doctors. I was at least seeing the same moron all the time.
Yeah.
And then here I am, I step into this woman's office, and I'm like you, Blue, because we've talked about this before, life changing.
Yes.
Like I went from feeling like a dish rag that was laying in the curb, right, all worn down and stomped on, which was affecting my quality of life, to feeling amazing.
Gosh.
Yeah.
And it was because I got fed up with this dude, and I was like, look, I can't take you anymore. And I went to this woman, and I went, when she told me, explained everything, I just looked at her and I said, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm not crazy. And she goes, well, it's not going to happen overnight, but this is what we're going to do. And I'm like, why couldn't he see this? She goes, let's not go there.
Yeah. Well, see, they won't give me the operation. They won't do it.
Can you say why, or is that too personal? Because of the system, or?
It's because of the system, number one. and there's other issues to do with it as well. They say it's not safe, but the other thing is as well is when you're seeing all sorts of different doctors, they don't read your notes. Now, I've got a history of having miscarriages right back to when I was in my 20s. And I was being told I was overweight when I was probably about what would you guys would consider about 120 pounds.
And that's
Now,
what Suburban
I'm
Hillbilly
5'3".
was saying.
That's what, yeah. Right.
That I was not overweight. Okay, I might have had a bit of meat on my bones, but I was not overweight, and I was right in the middle of where I needed to be. And yet I was told I should have lost weight, and then I wouldn't have lost the child. And it was like, well, thanks for that.
Yeah.
You know, because I was in size 12 clothing. You know, and I think that for you over there, I think size 12 is exactly the same as it is everywhere else in the world because it's the fashion standard size. So yeah, I was a size 12, which honestly isn't anything.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I just, and that is their go-to, is every single time it's like, you need to lose weight, you need to lose weight, because they're lazy. It's laziness at the end of the day. You know.
Yeah.
But they never ever, and I had a lot of them. I'm not going to lie, there were a lot of losses over the years, and not one of them was ever investigated properly, and it was always put down to me being overweight, when in truth I've not been overweight until I moved up here to York and everything sort of kicked off. So, you know, it doesn't, never made sense to me ever. And I actually came out and said it to the gynecology specialist this time and said, you know, you guys are damn well lazy. You know, you're just lazy. And I said, the amount of gaslighting that you guys do is just absolutely abhorrent. And considering most of you are women, I find it worse. It's worse because it's coming from the people who should be understanding of what's going on for us. And they're doing it too. So yeah, I at the moment, all my stuff is the moment is really looking into what I can do for my own health and share that with other women. Obviously men watch as well, so it's like, you know, there's stuff there for men as well. It's like, it's for everyone really, but there is, like, you know, but it's looking at healing yourself from a nutritional level, because food is medicine. You know, Hippocrates said that, you know, let your food be your medicine,
and medicine be your food.
Yeah. So, you know, if he knew it,
Did you see
why aren't we doing it?
Passamaquoddy went to doctors and emergency rooms 2006 to 2015 before one doctor finally listened and found that they had bladder cancer and that they'd had it for 10 to 12 years. I am so glad that got taken care of.
Wow.
I know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I've always said be your own advocate, and I am not keen on going to the doctor. I go, but I hate it. I go only when I absolutely have to. And usually that's because I need a refill on a medication that I've pushed to the limit. I admit it. But the funniest thing is that, but if you get me, so with Yogi, right? Yogi had so many different medical issues. And by me not listening to doctors and veterinarians is how he got better, right? And it went down to his food, you know, because we started giving him the raw diet and things like that instead of giving him all the processed stuff when he's got all these allergies. And, you know, you think that I would put an ounce of that into my own well-being.
Hey, squirrels magnet fishing.
I mean, I'm just being honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And yet there's a known fact, because I did research on it in college. And there's tons of research on how better nutrition and more nutrient dense foods actually help folks who have mental health struggles and so on. It doesn't take it all away, because there's always that biochemistry, the physiology of it and so on. But it's a a known fact that folks who struggle with mental health issues, many live in poverty.
Yes.
Many are eating food bank food. And when I put it in quotes, it's because it's not good stuff to eat.
No,
Right?
it's all
Because nobody
high
comes back from the
stuff.
food bank with whole nutrient dense foods,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Suburban Hillbilly. Oh,
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
yeah, that's awful. And Gear Gryden, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need amoxicillin.
Yeah.
If I'm coming to you, I've got something that needs more than amoxicillin.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Very true. Very
Yeah.
true.
Yep.
I
That's
was just looking at an article that I saw that was showing all the foods that are in Europe. So where you're at, Blue, that are illegal, and yet
yes.
they're legal here. And they were
Yeah.
showing the differences. Like for at the top of the list was McDonald's French fries, which is really a bummer because anybody who's got grandkids or kids knows the babies love chicken nuggets and French fries in the Happy Meal box from McDonald's. And I told my daughter, start collecting those Happy Meal boxes because we're going to fool them. We're going to have to make some chicken nuggets at
You
home.
can get them, but you have to make a choice. Okay, so that what it is they're not illegal, but they have to have a healthier choice. So what they have are sliced apple bags, or they have like carrot sticks. But it's up to you as the parent to make the choice for the child.
But you know what? The difference is, so the French fries are cooked in just vegetable oil, which in the UK is like, I think it's soybean oil or something like that. It's one oil.
It's canola oil, as far as I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then that's what they're fried in. Over here, they're fried in this conglomerate of oils, plus some dextromethyl, I don't know, something else.
Yeah, there's
They
a
fry
spray
them in
that they put
addicted.
over the top of the fridge. I know exactly what you're talking about because when I
Yeah.
worked in the big staff kitchens,
Mhm.
we used to have to use that stuff over the fryers because the fryers are on 24/7, right? So, and they're only switched off for 2 hours, and that's so that you can change the oil out. But there's a chemical that's put in that oil to stop it from combusting.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's what that is. It's there so that it doesn't actually start a massive fire.
Yeah, here in the United States, they like to coat everything in things that will hook us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Extra
it's
sugar,
funny.
extra salt.
Yeah, have you ever seen Super Size Me?
Yes.
Okay, that is a fact.
Yes.
Because I will tell you, when I was in Connecticut, and if you went to McDonald's in the morning, everybody was lined up getting coffee.
Yeah.
Right? Coffee, coffee, coffee. I go down in North Carolina and I get online at McDonald's in the morning. What do you think they're drinking in the morning?
Tea?
Coffee?
Coffee?
No coffee.
No?
Juice?
Sweet tea, Mountain Dew.
Oh.
And they have the cups. The cups are the biggest.
Massive, great, huge.
Right. They have them filled with ice.
Thing.
They sell so many. They have it filled. They have Mountain Dew and sweet tea, which is so sweet. And they have them all filled up, all over, and stacked up so they don't even have to make them. They had them made ahead of time.
Goodness. Yeah,
I was like, I'll have
sweet
coffee.
tea. It's too sweet.
Yeah. See, there's also another one that you could watch called The Sugar Film, and it's actually on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube. It's an Aussie guy who doesn't eat a lot of sugar or processed sugar, and he eats what's in the food that's classified as health foods. Okay, and has to have what the average person has in sugar every day that doesn't eat whole foods, which is 42 teaspoons of sugar a day.
Wow.
Now, I don't know about you, but 42 teaspoons of sugar fills a pint glass.
And what's the name of that?
Wow.
The Sugar Film. There's a link to it in my Wellness for Healthiness live that I just did as well. So yeah, that's there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was shocking. I couldn't believe it. And then he actually went to the States, and he went to there's a specific place in the States or specific state
Mm-hmm.
where everyone's getting their teeth out by the time they're 16, 18, because they're putting Mountain Dew in babies' bottles when they're like 2 months old.
What?
So like, well, it's like, what is even going on? You know? So there's these people have been living with their teeth rotting in their head, because the problem
Oh
is,
my
right,
goodness.
teeth rot. This is where most of your nerve endings are in your jaw, and you are born with every tooth you're ever going to have in your life. So if you're giving babies sugar on that kind of level,
Yeah.
they're going to rot not only their milk teeth, but
Yeah.
their adult teeth before they even come through. And because they're rotting away, they're affecting the nerve endings, which affects somewhere else in your body. And that becomes a major issue.
Yep.
Because you don't know what it's affecting.
Yeah.
So why they say you don't have root canal or things like that, because you've still got a rotting tooth in your head. Just have the tooth out.
You know, it's funny. When my son, I only have one child, but when my son was younger, I literally, and my mother would call it, I would put a smell of juice in the water.
Yeah.
That kid would suck it down. He didn't have straight juice until he was an adult.
Yeah.
Or a teenager, I should say. But that kid would think he was getting a ton. And it was all water.
Yeah, it's just insane. I mean, like, it's also like, if you're buying juice from the stores and things, or just from a juice bar, and they're not putting in the actual pulp, all right? So a pint glass like this, which is about 600 mils, okay, this would hold probably 8 oranges. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't sit down and eat 8 oranges. 2 is probably a top for me, maybe. Okay, but you've then got 8 oranges worth or 8 apples worth of pure sugar.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is why going and getting a smoothie rather than juice from a bottle is a better option, or just eating the fruit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Milk and honey, that's what I always heard, is don't put your babies to bed with a bottle.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
That's something I never did.
And
no.
I'm sorry, I have to say this. I grew up in New York City. A lot of people know this about me. But it's really funny. Suburban Hillbilly was talking about making tea in a 55-gallon garbage can or something to that effect. We used to make a lot of alcoholic beverages in that. Seeing her comment made my day.
Wow.
You made alcoholic beverages in those cans?
Oh yeah, Blue Whales parties and all that kind of
thing.
My Not that we filled the whole thing up, but the point is
I can remember stuff like this going on. That, yeah, it wasn't necessarily sweet tea. I mean, we told the grown-ups it was sweet tea, or, something like that, but it certainly wasn't just like juice.
Oh, here it is.
Fermented.
I guess that happens in the Appalachia.
Yep.
Yeah.
The sugar crash makes them sleep. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Suburban Hillbilly, I did a lot of, just for my career and my work. When I moved to North Carolina, I was in Appalachian Mountain.
The Budget Preppers
territory, and I did a lot of research on that culture, so I'm really familiar with it. I have to step out for 1 second. I'll be right back. I apologize.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's an awesome series that you're doing, and I think everybody's like, none of us want to have to go to the doctor or the hospital. I mean,
no. But I did feel like, and it's been bugging me for a few weeks, because I've been writing up the meal plan and stuff that I've been doing, and I've been sitting there and thinking, there is sort of a lot more scope for this, but it really needs its own platform.
Yeah, agreed.
Because as much as being a homesteader, doing urban homesteading, all of that kind of stuff, garden to table stuff, we have to look after ourselves as well, because if we don't look after ourselves, we can't do the stuff that we need to do to look after ourselves, but I just felt that this was more niche and needed a separate platform, because after doing the live yesterday where I was talking about dairy, I don't want to not put in the facts about dairy and the different issues that come from that, or if I'm doing other things. But I have friends who are dairy farmers and I don't want to upset them. Do you know what I mean? So if I have it on another platform, it's, for me, it's I feel like I can still tell the truth and do my job and do the responsible thing and explain why these things aren't in the meal plan and why they're not great for you to have all the time. Or I can put it on my channel and then I have to censor myself. And I'm sorry, I'm not that person. I can't do it. I can't censor myself.
We got a question here in the chat. Janice at Where to Begin Homestead wants to know.
It's called Wellness for Healthiness, and there is a link on my community tab for it. On my Bloo Self-Reliance community tab, there's a link for it. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Because I know that there's a lot of what's the word? Oh, words are hard, man. Contentious information that is out there, and getting to the bottom of it, and actually being able to tell people, well, this is why these things are happening, or could be part of the reason of why these things are happening. So limiting certain things is really important, and why, and the history of it. And see, another thing for me is having places that people can go that are public records. So I look through all the public records. I do the graft. I go through all the government findings. I go through all the scientific findings. I go through everything, and I put the links up so people can go and read it for themselves.
Awesome.
Because it's all public record.
Yeah.
All of it is public record. So yeah.
Have a great day, Passamaquoddy.
Thank you for coming. I've been trying to limit how much plastic.
Yes. That's a huge one.
Because it does impact your hormones. And
absolutely it does.
People realize
it's
happening, and all the microplastics that now they're designing water bottles to degrade really quickly. So they're degrading while you're still drinking out of the dang things.
Exactly. But the harder the plastic, the less likely there are for microplastics. So if you have a really solid plastic, like the old school Tupperwares that you used to be able to throw at each other as kids and they wouldn't even crack. The stuff that would leave a lump in your skull, if it landed on you, that stuff's okay. But it's the stuff it's the throwaway plastics, it's the everyday plastics, it's the softer plastics. You don't want to be storing food in them, because it does come off on the food, and the changes in temperature actually affect that, and then it's very bad for hormones.
A search of milk and glass. Oh, yeah. We used to have in Arizona, there was a company, and they sold their milk in glass bottles, and then you could go down and swap them out. But it was from like a local dairy.
Hi, Callie King.
Yeah, I mean, like we can order from the milkman. We can have milk in glass bottles, which is what we grew up with. Those bottles, we used to wash them out. We'd put them back out for the milkman. He'd take out the empties, and then he'd put in the new stuff. When we were kids, that was normal. And then all of a sudden, there were these massive bottles that were all plastic bottles, and it was like,
So the sugar and in your drinks and just basically in what you're eating, they sneak it in all of our food over here in the United
They
States.
do.
We'd have to
They do.
really
They
get down.
sneak it in everywhere over here as well. But I mean, over here they now have a sugar tax.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is that now everything has artificial sweeteners in it.
Oh gosh,
And artificial
I'm
sweeteners
allergic
are a
to
new
those.
hell all of their own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I figured
and
out I was
yeah,
allergic to artificial sweeteners, and it's going to
mhm.
sound funny, but I'll tell you what happens. They make me hungry. And I have an allergy. They make me hungry, and it's
They
Yeah,
true.
do.
The artificial sweeteners, if anybody's a Diet Coke drinker, try to
yeah,
quit the Diet Coke and then watch what happens. I can tell it's like I think the aspartame is the worst for me. I might
yeah,
get headaches from it too, but it definitely they definitely make me hungry. And I know this because I specifically avoid the drinks that have that. So
yes,
sometimes there's off-brand drinks. Like I like
hmm
those ice drinks, and they
yeah,
have a different kind of sweetener in them.
Right.
That's not as
yeah.
bad for you. Well, I
There's different names for it now to
mm,
make it sound less of
mhm,
an issue.
uh-huh.
I'm
There's
gonna
some
say
good
I'm gonna
ones though. Do you
completely
remember
butcher
what the good
saying
ones
it,
are?
but it's like acyl acylum K
Acetyl
or something like.
sulfate or something like that. I think I've seen.
Yeah, that. I mean, sucralose is supposed to be a sweetener that's come from the birch tree, but it's like it's synthesized. So it's
Mhm,
actually not
Yeah.
from the birch tree. It's a
mhm,
chemical that has been synthesized that comes from the birch tree, but it's not from the birch tree. But they call it natural because somewhere down the line they got something the original from the birch tree,
mhm,
but it's not.
mhm.
Stevia that they use in um, processed foods.
Oh yeah, that you can.
Again, it's synthesized. It's not the actual leaf anymore. It's just the chemical. So it's been synthesized in a lab. It's not actually from the leaf anymore. It's got no correlation to the leaf whatsoever. So if you are going to use stevia, you want to dry off your own leaves or get it in powdered leaf form, which you
Uh-huh.
can get, and use it that way.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, crap. I thought I was doing good. I was thinking, okay, they must have like done some kind of a tincture or something of this stevia and then put it into a powder, like some kind of powder that dissolves, and then um, like aerated it so that the alcohol evaporates and then you've got the stevia left behind. Because that's exactly what I do with vanilla to make
Yeah.
my vanilla red rooibos. That's how I will do that. Is you've got your tincture or extract, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
of vanilla, and you can pour it on red rooibos or whatever tea leaf you want to make vanilla, and then let it evaporate, and you're still going to have the vanilla flavor. I thought that's what was happening, and you're saying to me
No.
that is not the way that they do it.
It's like the whole willow bark aspirin thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Okay, I can't take aspirin.
uh-huh.
I come out in a rash that I just not even my mother would want to come near me if I take aspirin,
Wow.
right? But I can drink willow bark tea
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because aspirin is synthesized one chemical from the willow bark tree.
Mm-hmm.
But if I take the willow bark, it's offset by other things in the willow bark that offset that reaction
Mm-hmm.
because it's not that just pure one chemical.
Um, Show me, Lee. It's really bad drink if they've sat in the sun. But
Yeah.
here's the thing, Lee. So like they don't ship those in air conditioned
No,
trucks. So
No,
they're
they're
like,
in
no, they
hot
don't.
shipping containers sitting on the dock for months.
yes.
Yeah,
So they're like already starting the process of degrading
yeah,
the minute that the water is poured in the bottle, because they're designed that way because we have so much litter from
yeah.
them. But yeah.
I mean, the other thing that they found is that Coca-Cola in Australia was shipping on big trucks into the center of Australia Diet Coke, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's got aspartame. Unfortunately, if aspartame gets to a certain temperature, it turns into formaldehyde. So they were actually,
Wow.
yeah, it's not nice.
Oh my word. Okay. I didn't
So
know that.
yeah, it turns into a completely different thing.
Hmm.
Doesn't taste very nice, and they were losing millions over this because people were getting sicker and sicker, and they were realizing it was because all of the diet drinks they were sending out to the center of Australia in
Hmm.
non-refrigerated trucks were all turning into this crazy
Oh my goodness.
stuff. Yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like the grocery store meat. Once you start growing your own, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
You one of the things Ryan and I often talk about at dinner time is I can't believe we didn't do this sooner, because
yeah,
why as a nation do we tolerate what we're being given?
Money.
I know, but it's just
yeah,
when you eat
Yeah.
something that you've grown yourself, like the
Mhm.
chickens, Tammy, that you
Yeah.
raised, and then you turn around and you say, why did I allow myself?
Hmm.
yeah,
Why
Yep.
do we put up with it?
Hmm.
exactly.
I realize not everybody has the capacity or has
Mm,
all the
Hmm.
stuff, but there's so much that you can grow to reduce other stuff.
yeah.
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah, which is kind of why we did the small space gardening collaboration, which is like a year-long thing, and
Hmm.
every month is a different theme for the month. So
Hmm.
everyone has a different outdoor, indoor space that they're using, and it's showing how they are dealing with that particular theme of the month.
Hmm.
So people, no matter where they are, what they're doing, they can all do that one thing or find some value in one of those videos.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
What's this month's theme?
Hey, Gail.
June. I'm not sure off the top of my head. How bad's that?
Tell me some of the themes that you've done so far.
Okay, so far we've done planning. So we've gone into the planning stages, what kind of things that
Gail?
we want to have and use with our space, how
Hmm.
we're going to use that space, what's best to go in that space,
Hmm.
whether we're just putting one thing in a pot or whether doing three things in a pot or whatever. Um, at the moment I'm doing some pretty intensive um, growing in my beds. I've got probably 5 different crops in pretty much every bed that I have,
Hmm.
for different reasons.
Hmm.
I did a lot of research on it into the intensive growing because I wanted to have something in there to stop the bugs. I wanted to stop the weeds. I wanted to be
Yep.
able to bring in the good bugs, for pollinating and other things that are going to throw shade on the other things that need to have shade. And there was a lot of research that went into it just to be able to use the space that we have in the best way we could. So we've done those. We've had a look at what we've been putting in now, because we're just almost at that point in the growing season where everyone wants to have their stuff in. And
Hmm.
there's people that have got stuff coming out already. So, because there are people that are growing all year round in
Hmm.
their different spaces. So,
Yep.
That's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah, I ended up with 5 cherry tomato plants in one big pot. I had
hmm,
them when I upplanted them, I was desperate and I didn't want to put them out in the garden. I felt like I needed to put them in a pot
yeah.
because, I'm I'm very cautious and aware of the fact that my plants they could die just like that. I mean, you know what I mean? And so I get a little paranoid, I guess. So I uppotted them to another pot and I thought, okay, they're not going to grow too close together. I've got plenty of time to get these guys in the ground now. Well, you know what happened? Now they're just in a big old pot together. And it's a
And
good
that's
thing for
fine.
cherry tomatoes, but we'll see how that goes. They got flowers.
Mine
Well,
are
I
growing in a
laugh.
seed tray. I have over 300 of them in a seed tray. Just one
There you
seed tray. There's
go.
about
Yeah.
8 different varieties, and I haven't even potted them up yet.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done that. I've still got cucumbers sitting in a seed tray that I haven't put in the greenhouse yet. I mean, they're sitting in the greenhouse, Some of them we've potted up, some of them we haven't, because we had an issue with some little hungry slug that decided to come across. So we've got spares that we can put in, and there's other tomatoes that are going out. But a lot of those spare plants are going to be going to the local food banks for people to grow their own.
Mm-hmm.
So I just need to find some time when I'm not going to turn into a lobster or a puddle, one or the other, so that I can actually put them in small pots so that they can get taken over there.
There's you know, I'm trying to think.
Awesome.
I'm trying to think what I was going to say. I forgot it.
I just want to speak to G Mama Grows. Like, we are all learning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know. For me, like, I'm trying to cut out the plastic thing. We got the Berkey, so I try to drink that water, versus other water. And I'm trying to limit plastic. I don't know. G Mama Grows. I know I'm still doing stuff I probably shouldn't be doing, but
I mean, you can buy a water distiller fairly cheaply, and to be fair, they're a really good investment. So you could be distilling your own water that you're getting either from your well or your bore or your tap or however you get your water, even if it's a rainwater tank, whatever. You can be distilling that and having your own and putting it in your own bottles, in your own glass bottles. That's one way of doing it. I mean, like, I started removing plastics, wanting to remove plastics. But when I moved in with Tanny, he had because he's a fella on his own, he doesn't have any storage containers. So we started collecting, ice cream containers, margarine containers, all of those things. But I'm slowly now wanting to, and the only time that I do use plastics are with dry store stuff now. I tend to put those in the cupboard is bulk in plastics. But I'm looking to you can get the glass 9x13s or whatever you guys call them over there. But you can actually get a bamboo top or a silicone top for the thing. So you don't have to wrap it up in all the plastic wrap and foil and all of that kind of stuff to put it in the freezer. So it means that we can get different sizes of those for different meals because, if I go down because I'm having a pain flare, I could be down for a day. I could be down for 3 weeks. I just don't know. So I rather have a load of meals on hand that we don't need to worry about, that can be pulled out in the morning when Tanny goes to work or when he's on his way to work, and they just need to go in the oven.
Right.
I like this. Suburban hillbilly. If you're green, you're growing. If you're ripe, you're rotting. It means when you quit learning, you start to die.
Absolutely.
Can you put up Show Me Lee's comment?
I'm going to live forever because I am such a nerd, always looking
about the garden. Yeah. I've never had luck with anything with them. I see G Mama has. I've known people who have used that mothballs and it hasn't helped. For me, fences are what help.
Yeah.
The other thing that I recently saw though was Irish Spring soap in little sachet packs. So take the bar of soap, cut a little sliver off, throw the soap bar and the sliver in there, just so that way you're releasing the smell. People say it works. I don't know if it does. Like I said, they eat everything here on us if it's not fenced in.
Yeah.
The minute I take down the raspberry fencing because they're done fruiting, they eat them down to the ground.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say fencing, to be honest. I'd be really careful about using soap on plants because it will actually kill the plant. It can also poison you, depending on what's in the soap.
Sorry, I didn't mean put the soap on the plants. You tie it in a bag and you hang them around.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't make that clear.
No, that's okay.
You put them on a stake and you hang it. And supposedly
something that I see people using as aphid repellent as well to get rid of them is just using pure soap water. What they should be doing is using foam. So if you've got like your dishwashing liquid that foams up, just make a big bucket of the foam and use that and wipe them over, because you're not going to get too much of the soap coming into the plant, which then goes up into your food. Yeah, because there have been issues with people actually overusing soap and water, and them having issues with the food afterwards. So I'd be really careful with that, to be fair.
Yep.
Oh,
Good to know.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to use them because I can't stand them.
yeah,
I don't like Irish Spring either because it's the one thing that I can't use. But
It looks
people
like
say you could put it on your
soap.
You could put it in your porch, and it'll also do stuff with what is it? Mosquitoes. It'll repel mosquitoes.
yeah.
All bubbles, no bubble bath in the garden.
Yeah.
Do you get a picture of Joe in his garden now with like a big
Yeah.
bathtub and all the
One of
bubbles?
those claw bathtubs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, we'll be looking for the video.
I'm waiting for the picture of him sitting in a bathtub, and all you see is his head and his little foot sticking out. Do you know
Gotta
what I mean?
have the drink with the umbrella.
Yeah.
That would make it.
Yeah, melon bags. That's a good choice.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that about mothballs.
Yeah.
Well, why do you think they repel stuff?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I heard that they will help repel snakes.
Yeah. So does a shovel. I'm just saying.
And that you could
Or a
put
weed whacker. I'm saying.
manufactured home, you can put mothballs under the manufactured home, and it's supposed to keep out like snakes and rodents.
Yeah.
Ugh. I couldn't smell them. I couldn't deal with smelling them.
Yeah.
No. I have to admit,
Under the house,
little blocks of cedar wood work just as well. Like if you need mothballs, just little blocks of cedar wood works just as well.
Huh. Good to know.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Bloo about all the good stuff she's been talking about?
Hey, I think you've got another collab you didn't mention that you should probably mention, Blue.
Oh,
yeah.
June. Yeah, 2.0. Okay, so yeah, Jamming Up June last year was the first collab I ever did. And it's kind of it's created a bit of a monster, shall we say, when it comes to collabs. But yeah, there's 36 channels involved this year, which is kind of cool. Including, I don't know, is there certain other people? Yes, I thought so. Yep. So there's a load of really good channels that are putting those out. There is a playlist on both my channel and on Tony's channel. Mm-hmm. There's some new channels that you guys won't know about because they're ones from this side of the pond that I've got in touch with to go on, you wanna. So, but yeah, there's loads and loads and loads. And some of them that I've seen this year, I've been sitting there going, oh, dude, you can't do that to me. What are you doing? I'm just sitting there going, 4:00 this morning, I'm sitting here watching somebody make a chocolate cherry preserve.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, no, it's too early for this. No, you can't do this to me first thing in the morning. Amazing. I'm desperately trying to be good here, and I'm thinking, oh no, what can I do? What can I do? And I'm thinking, no, you don't have any cherries. It's okay. It's fine. You're all good.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, and there is a giveaway as well. There will be a giveaway live, and I think, don't quote me, because I've been so busy doing the stuff for the Wellness for Healthiness series, my brain has I've left it all to Tony, bless his heart.
That's Tony at Kettle Kitchen, everybody.
Yeah, Tony at Kettle Kitchen. But it's probably, I think it's the 2nd of July. Don't quote me. It should be in any of the videos underneath in the description when.
And don't tell Tony she didn't know.
He's probably skulking around somewhere.
That would, July
Um,
2nd would make sense. That would
yeah.
make sense.
It just freaked me out. My phone just buzzed me a message as soon as you said that, Lisa. I'm like sitting here going, "Oh no! I told you he's skulking." No,
He is.
it's
Coming
not
lane.
him.
He's probably listening right now.
Probably. But bless him, he's done so much work. And the difference from this year from last year, see, Four Jars Lids has become our premier sponsor for this and the collaboration next month of Jar It Up July.
Awesome.
Okay. But they're actually, for the very first time, putting their own videos into the collaborations as well.
Oh, wow.
And they have monster prizes. Monster prizes.
Wow.
Nice.
How awesome.
So, that are worth quite a lot of money. And it's like a massive hamper of like lids and tea towels and those funky little timer thingies and all of that kind of stuff. And there's all sorts of stuff in there. Plus, like, there's a gift voucher for their stuff, which is like, I don't remember how much it is. So if I quote something, I'm going to get myself in all kinds of trouble. So I ain't doing that.
July 2nd. Did you see what Suburban Hillbilly put down?
It is the 2nd
I want
of July.
the timer.
Yay!
I want the timer.
I want the timer. I want a timer because I'm like, that thing's magnetic, right?
I don't know, but everybody, Oprah would give everyone a timer. I don't even like her, but I would watch just to get a timer.
I know, right?
We all love free stuff.
Yeah.
And when you win it, it's so much fun.
Yes. And they have said that they will be sending the prizes out. So we don't have to worry about sending the prizes out. They're going to send them out.
Look at that.
That's great.
So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Aw. That's very sweet of you, Rebecca.
Oh, here we go. July 2nd, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 10 Mountain, 11 Central, 12 Eastern. And what is 5 p.m.
time? That's British summertime.
Okay.
Yeah. That's British summertime. In the winter, it's GMT, which is Greenwich Mean Time.
Oh, really?
It goes back to proper time, but this is, British summertime. So
awesome. Yeah. That sounds amazing. Because I have got to build up my canned foods. I have a lot of canned foods. So, in the spirit of preparedness, if there's a sale, you get more than one.
Absolutely.
So I have built up my preps with canned food, and I've been doing this for years and years, but let me tell you, moving was something.
Oh, I bet it was. You have no idea the stuff that Tanny left behind because he got done. He was done with moving. He wasn't doing it anymore. That was it. He just walked away. He went, whatever was left, that's it. Done. Over it.
Yeah.
It was like, okay.
Make any more food. Give it away to someone. But what I've found is that I really need to cut back my salt. And commercially canned foods are so much higher in salt than jarring your own meals.
Yeah.
So I've got to do some replacing this year.
Yeah.
Because
it's not necessarily the fact that it's salt, it's the type of salt they use.
Really?
Okay, so if they're just using like table salt, which is what most companies use, is just like sodium, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's where you run into problems, okay? Because there's only one mineral in there, and it's on its own. It's quite dangerous in large quantities. Yeah. If you're using things like Celtic salt, or
painless, good to see you.
Himalayan pink salt, and I think Redmond's is the one that you guys have over there, which is that brown salt.
Yeah.
Yeah. All three of those have 92 different nutrients in them. So they're a whole salt. They're not just sodium.
Yeah. Well, what really stops me is when the back of the can says there's like 1,100 milligrams of salt. that's gonna, like, I don't know. I mean, I heard that it takes you like 3 days to like
Yeah.
filter out how much salt you eat, that much salt. And then I guess your only plan is to eat a lot of high potassium foods to help the salt get out of your body.
Or you're drinking a lot of water. But the problem is that also you do need salt. Your body needs a certain amount of salt in it because, you know, we are made up of salty water. So, you know, I go through probably 3 of those a day.
Yeah.
And what I do is just after I finished one and I'm about to start a new one, I have a little pack. I'm not sponsored, okay? It just came in this packet and I haven't got a jar on my desk because I'm named it to myself, okay?
Mhm.
But I've just got some of this and I stick my finger in it after wetting it and put that in my mouth, and it helps with the hydration, because otherwise that water will go straight in one end and out the other. So it does your body no good whatsoever. And especially in the heat, when you need to actually be keeping yourself really well hydrated, you need to have that little bit of salt. And yeah.
Yeah. I've got like an herbal tea in here with lime juice. I love limes in the summer.
Yeah. Well, I'll be completely honest. I needed something really cold before I came on here because it is, like I said, it's 42 degrees in my office at the moment.
107 degrees
107.
Fahrenheit for us Americans.
Yeah. And the only thing that we had absolutely freezing cold at the moment was Coke. So I've got a little bit left in my glass and that was it. But that's what I normally do is I'll just cut up fruit, like an
Awesome.
orange, lemon, and a lime, and it'll go in there and I will just keep refilling it all day long.
Yeah.
You know,
Awesome.
because you need your electrolytes, because
Yep.
water on its own is great, but you know, you need the extra salts and things to go with it.
Love that.
So yeah.
I saw that people were making something called Switch.
Yes. Switchels.
Switchels, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I find that a lot of those tend to have a lot of sweeteners in them that
I think they were making their own though, like with honey.
yeah, but it's still got quite a high level of honey. So raw honey is great, and it's so good for you on so many levels, all right? But a lot of the honey that we buy now just in the stores is actually partly sugar syrup, or it's a mix of honeys that we don't know where it's been pasteurized. So all the actual preservatives and health benefits of that honey have been killed in that process. So you want to make friends with someone who's a beekeeper, who's around the 2 mile mark from where you live. So anywhere within that 2 mile radius, if you can find a beekeeper, because also having a teaspoon of that honey, if you have issues with hay fever, those bees are collecting pollens from those plants that you're having a reaction to, and what they do is they turn it into an antihistamine. So it's direct for your area where you're having issues, and then you have a spoon of that sugar in that raw honey, and it actually works as an antihistamine for you.
That's awesome. Butler Family Farm. I hope you're recovering well.
Jerry. Yeah. But like anything that's too sweet, too much is too much, because you've got natural glucose in your body cells as it is. And sometimes you just have to actually do some movement to activate those glucoids. I'm going to get my words wrong again. But yeah, and then sometimes that's all you need. Whereas when you think that you're flagging, you might just need to get up and move around a bit and get that kind of movement happening, and you will find that you actually boost yourself a bit because it activates that, and you get a natural glucose hit rather than adding in more sugar, which can, it's not good.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to following you on your new channel too. We've got the link in the chat, guys, and I'll put it in the description box down below after the live too for you, Blue. But thank you so much for coming in today. This has been awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Blue.
It's been fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Hope you
Anytime.
all have a great week, and we will see you next week. I'm going to post that early because the time might change a bit. And Lisa, I got to ask you about that time for that.
Okay.
So have a great week, everybody. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.